What is up, my hippies? How are you doing today? Mark Christopher here at Classic Barbershop with another Hippie Pick interview. Gonna put the shades in my pocket. My heart's right by my heart. Anyway, today we have a very unique guest. He's not a pick maker, but he's a musician. His name is Coty Hicks. This guy has traveled all over the world as a touring musician. And I get the lucky privilege of chatting with him today. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a guitarist. I think he even has his own line of guitar picks and underwear. Actually, no, that last part is a joke. He's going to watch this and be like, oh, I had to punch him in the face. I'm just kidding. So without further ado, let's cut the chit-chat on my end. Let's chit-chat with my man, Coty, from Cincinnati, Ohio. Coty.
How are you, brother?
Hey, you're sideways. Can you fix that?
If I do, I'm going to stand the phone straight up. That's the only way, man. I can go that angle.
Try it again. Yeah.
Did it work?
Perfect.
Okay, like technology, you got to whoosh it and then wash it. And then
I know. It's silly. I did an interview with a guy named Nads from Arcanum Plectra, and the whole interview, he had tons of lighting, and it was super dark on his face. It was weird. And every time we were off camera, lighting would be great. We'd go to record, and it'd be like super dark. Yeah, it looked like he was in like a closet. It was kind of silly. Anyway.
I don't know if you're a Star Wars guy, you turned into Palpatine, you know what I mean, with the hood. Exactly.
Yeah. So how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just playing a lot with your picks. Yeah, I got one in my hand right now as we speak, literally. Been playing with it all morning.
Yeah,
just staying busy, man, which is good because a lot of people are out of busy, you know, and I'm staying busy, so.
Yeah, which is good.
I feel good.
I know you're a touring musician, but before we get into that, I really want to dive into how that all came to be, where you've been, who you've played music with. We need to start at the basics. Coty Hicks from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
How long have you been
From
playing
there,
instruments?
So I've been playing, I started a hard start with keyboard. I was 8 years old. I got it for my 8th birthday. Started learning, you know, Aladdin and stuff like that. The easy intro kind of stuff. And then my dad was a huge part of all of it. He had a drummer who was really good at keys. And he was teaching me like the rock stuff, you know, Aerosmith and Styx. And I was like, okay. So I quickly started listening to that kind of music. And then before I knew it, I watched School of Rock with Jack Black. And he took these little group of kids and, you know, turned them into this great rock band. And I was like, you know what, man? I want to do that. So I started learning bass. And then that was my first band. Did that for a few years all the way through high school, man. It was fun. We were kids, but we were awesome doing gigs for my dad was the headliner band. We'd open for them. They'd be like, man, look at these little kids up there, you know, doing it. It was funny. So then I got into guitar at about, I would say 12 or 13, and that's just been it ever since. I dabbled with other stringed instruments, a little ukulele, little banjo. I tried to play the violin, but that thing was not for me. Nope.
It's hard.
Dude, that is a hard instrument. And not only is like the technique of it playing, but then you have to like rosin your bow the right amount. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm learning. I'm too much rosin. It sounds like sandpaper. Not enough. And it sounds like you're running a piece of silk across it, you know? So it was not good. I seen your cool cup there, man. What are you drinking? What's in the cup today?
Reese cups. It's purely peanut butter. I'm just kidding. No, it's water today. But
oh, man, okay.
Reese cups is my favorite candy of all time. If you ever want to make me happy, get a Reese cup.
Dude, same.
Yeah.
We're on similar wavelengths. It's my favorite candy too.
I knew you were a good guy.
I have good taste in candy and picks. What can you do?
Yeah, and rock and roll.
And rock and roll, you know. Well, my shirt says otherwise. My shirt says funk. But that's just an Ohio thing. You know, being from Cincinnati, if you don't represent James Brown, King Records, Bootsy Collins, all that, man, that's on the one. That's what Ohio is, all on the one.
So for those who don't know, King's Records, Sid Nathan of King's Records founded the funk rock movement. James Brown came into Cincinnati, Ohio, got started in Cincinnati, Ohio. Bootsy Collins from Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, I don't think James Brown is from Cincy, but like Sid Nathan made him famous from King's Records. King's Records was a huge influence in the music industry. And you go, not every instrument, not every genre.
Anything, everything. King Records, you know?
Yeah. And you even think about like rap. You go, what does rap have to do with King's Records? The beat from James Brown is what started rap music.
Absolutely.
Came out of Cincinnati.
There is a small clip somewhere, and it's Snoop Dogg, and he's saying, without Bootsy Collins, there would be no Snoop Dogg. And that's just, I mean, it's so true. I mean, a lot of his stuff was that same, you know, Parliament Funkadelic grooves, which was awesome. You know, who doesn't love that stuff?
Yeah. I love James Brown. I have a James Brown channel on my Pandora playlist. Funk
nice.
Music. Yes.
Yeah, man, and Sex Machine, all those great tunes, man. That's a lot of that was Bootsy. You know, I think Bootsy was there from 68 to 71 or something. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but it's something like, you know, those years, man. That was all Bootsy. I like James Brown said, you can give me anything in between, but give me that one. You know, that's where I just slam that one.
Yes. So we talk a lot about other bands. Are you in a band?
Yeah, I just joined what I call a super group, man. They're fantastic. It's they're called The Summit. They've been on the road with ZZ Top, Cheap Trick, Collective Soul, Joan Jett. I mean, you could write a list of, you know, people that they've just hung out with and jammed with and just got to collaborate and do stuff with. I think our vocalist, Chris Scott, he's getting ready to work with some cool stuff. I think Mike Campbell and some stuff is maybe in the works, and that's all cool, man. I love seeing people do their thing, and each one of the guys in the band does their thing like 110%. You know, and it's the first group I've ever been in. Excuse me, where the vocalist doesn't play. The vocalist is just a vocalist. You know, he's always played rhythm guitar, or he's always the bass player or something. But Chris is so fantastic. All that dude has to do is just open his mouth, and it's just awesome. So it's a lot of fun. And if you don't know The Summit or haven't checked it out yet, they're up and coming guys. Check them out, man. They're fantastic. They have some stuff out with some previous members that have gone some different ways, but man, all of it's great. All their material's fantastic.
How can people find you?
The Summit, they have the Facebook, you know, The Summit. They're on Instagram as well. They're on Spotify, iTunes, of course, all that stuff. And then me, I do also a lot of, just like everybody else in the band. I think nowadays the industry has changed so much to where, you know, 40 years ago, you could be Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, and that was enough. Nowadays, it's like, man, you have to have, you know, a side band. You have to have your main band. You have to have endorsements. You have to be doing lessons. You have to be doing, you know, meet and greets and merch. It's like all kinds of different projects nowadays to make it, you know, because the industry, you see the guys on like Spotify saying, oh, you can't expect to make an album every 3 or 4 years and live on it. And that's just hard because, man, it takes a lot of work to come up with a really good album. It's not like, sure, anybody could drop an album every 6 months if they wanted, but the quality of the music wouldn't be their hardest hitting stuff. You know, bands rotate, they're like, oh, that's a good one, you know, and then every 5 years they take those good ones and drop it. And it's just not what it used to be. So I stay busy. So you can also find my stuff. I do a lot of teaching. That's my big thing. The Coty Hicks band is what I call it. It all started because I had a looper, and I used to I never had anybody to jam with. You know what I mean? Everybody was just kind of in different grooves of music, whether it was really heavy metal or just something that I just kind of couldn't do or wasn't into. So I would just do this loop, and then before I knew it, I'd grab my bass and put a loop, and then I put on the drums and put on a loop, and then I grab my, and then I'd put these videos out, and I call it the Coty Hicks Band, and I say it only works because we're all named Coty Hicks, and it was kind of like this little joke, you know, people were like, ah, but then like before I knew it, I had some cool stuff, and we started like, you know, the bass player would be like, hey, you know, I'll play your stuff, and the drummer, and before we know it, I had people do it, and we were the Coty Hicks Band jamming around, and it was kind of cool. And it was all just kind of a, you know, again, funk and Bootsy. Bootsy says that funk is making something out of nothing, you know, and I think we can all kind of, especially in the arts industry or anything with that, you know, related, man, we're really making something out of nothing. You know, we don't, you know, there's nothing here. I just grab an instrument and I kind of groove in and I'm making people dance. It's making something out of nothing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So with the Coty Hicks Band, do you tour all around the world? How did you get to that point?
Well, to be fair, a lot of the traveling I've done has been for guitar, which I've been super blessed, you know, traveling around for different guitar shows, you know, going to Texas and doing stuff like that, or out to LA for NAMM, Nashville for NAMM. Also got to, you know, dabble around in Europe, which Europe is a funny thing to me, because when you get over there and you start jamming, people really resonate with like American music. Like if you pull out like some blues, like every guitar player in America plays blues. Yeah. But over there, it's like, ooh, that's an American sound. So it's like, you know, you can get away with so much over there, which is fantastic. And I'm not, you know, it's nothing here or there. It's just different for them. It's the same thing. When we hear that European rock, look how big it was in the United States. Yeah. When it's new, it's like, oh, man, that sounds so good to the ear.
You think about what they did. You got the Rolling Stones, you got Led Zeppelin, like two predominant bands that were all I'm trying to do is emulate that American sound. And you're like, no. And you go, yeah, like trace the roots back, and it's American roots music.
Yeah, I think Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, they met because they like seen each other at some point crossing, and one of them had like a stack of records, and he was like, hey man, I love Muddy Waters. And that was like the start of the Stones. Like, thank God for Muddy Waters.
Yeah. So have you ever met anybody uber famous that you just blows your mind?
Yeah, and the more it happens, the more chill you get with it. Luckily, I did a few years in the military, and I had a great time, great experience through it. And I was stationed in D.C. at Walter Reed, and all kinds of icons came through and would say hi to the wounded soldiers and, you know, pay their respects while they were playing a show in D.C. or something. And, you know, so like John Mayer and Katy Perry came through one time. And like John Mayer was like 7 foot tall. And I was like, geez, like I didn't expect, I was like, whoa. And like Brad Pitt, Wee Man, just all kinds of people would stop by. And it was really cool. At first I was like so starstruck. And then I started to meet like heroes, because like I would go to NAMM and I'd run into like, you know, Derek St. Holmes or something. And I was like, what? And then after a while, I quickly realized that when you meet somebody, if you totally like act like a fan, like if you come off as a fan, they put you right in the fan box. Yeah, they just do. And I think it's just a response. Like, you know, if somebody comes up, it's like, oh, I love your playing. The first thing you say is like, oh, cool, thanks. But like, if you come up and you just like, you know, talk to them about like, as a human, you know, how was traveling, man? Where are you coming from? How was your flight? You know, just talk to them, you know, about people stuff. Quickly, it's like, oh, you know, it's a person. It's not just fan box. Yeah. So, and I've used that everywhere. And I'm always the guy that if I meet a guitar player, I met Steve Vai, and it was so cool. I was just like, it was one of those whoa moments. And I took the time and I was like, Steve, if you had to point a guitar player in like one direction, like scales or arpeggios or like, you know, what's the secret? And he said, brother, all of it. And I was like, oh man. But I always ask. Because you know, some people will throw something at you really quick. I've had a lot of guitar players say, you know, if you think about it, if you're going from G Phrygian to C Ionian, you're in the exact same place. You don't even have to move. And they'll say it that quick. And if you catch it, like, you know, luckily I'm a self-taught guy all the way through. I've never had any college courses or nothing. But I knew what he was talking about just because I've taken the time. And I was like, whoa, like he's totally right. Like, you know, most people would think, oh, G major's up here on the neck and C major's down here on the neck. And it's a lot of back and forth. But as you run and as you learn, man, it really overlaps and unlocks. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
I could go down that rabbit hole for way too long.
No, it's fine. First, I want to say thank you for serving the United States of America. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, man. I was at what they call the President's Hospital. It's literally like Barack Obama would land there all the time. You know, if he was sick or had a cold, he'd come to Walter Reed. It was pretty wild.
Nice.
And actually, the day my son was born, Obama landed. My parents drove in from Ohio, and they were trying to get on base. So they're like, "Oh, my grandson was born," and they were like, "Well, the president's here. Nobody's on or off base. You know, it's completely locked down."
Yeah.
But it was just it's weird situations that you find yourself in. Like you never think like, "Oh, your grandparents aren't going to be there for your son being born because the president's around."
Yeah.
You know, it was cool though, and I had a lot of fun, a lot of good opportunities. Yeah, some people have paid a lot more than I did. You know, I've seen soldiers, man, that literally they hold their babies with the only limb they have left, and it's just if that doesn't make you realize that what's going on overseas is real, man. It was a wake up call for me. I was like, whoa, and that was my first duty station. You know, I mean, I'm green as can be, right out of boot camp. You know, I'm basic training. I'm here, and it was a wake up call, man. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, you have people who have their own opinion, and I don't want to get too political, but
Absolutely, yeah, right.
At the end of the day, like if somebody, police officers, firefighters, ambulance, like it doesn't matter. Like if these people step up and they're saying, I'm putting your life over priority of my own life, and I am putting my life on the line for somebody else, like we need to honor and respect that no matter what the cost, you know?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
it does bother me sometimes when people slam, you know, policemen or people in the army or anything. It's like, first, like they've put their life on the line so you can speak that.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, like at least say thank you. You may not have to agree with the political presidential thing. You may not agree with, you know, their taste in music. That's irrelevant. Somebody's putting their life on the line for you. You better say thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I'm also that, you know, there are good and bad people in every position everywhere. You know, you go to, you know, get fast food and you'll get terrible service, or sometimes you'll get a young person that's like very respectful. And there's, you know, there's good people. There's good soldiers and soldiers that get in trouble. There are police officers who abuse their power. There are politicians who abuse it. I mean, there are good and bad and everything. And I think that some people just take it out on everybody. You know, oh, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's not the way to go about it.
No, and I 100% agree. So thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of
again,
me.
it goes back to the Reese cups and the picks. Just we're on the same wavelength, man. We're right here.
So I want to ask you, that blue guitar behind you.
That is the one.
Tell
Yeah,
me
man.
about that. I really want to know more about this thing.
So this really is my like holy grail of guitar. So this is actually has my name on it. It's my signature. It's my model. I picked everything about it from top to bottom. It's got the Fishman Fluence pickups in it, which are super cool. So instead of traditional pickups that are wrapped, you know, copper wire, these are actually stacked circuit boards. There's a little button down here in between the volume and the tone knob, and it actually is a separate voice. This guitar has 2 programmed voices in it. So and Greg Koch, this is his signature set of pickups, all he did was it's the same tone. It doesn't really make it a different guitar. When you push the button, it's kind of like your solo mode. It's a little more oomph, a little more, you know, growl to it, which is fantastic. So sometimes, you know, your distortion might be on and you might not have a boost button or something when you're over there. So you just kind of push your button and boom. And it's super cool because it's active. I didn't want a battery and all that. So it's actually rechargeable. It's USB down here by the guitar port. You just plug it in, and one charge, I think, is I think it's like 300 hours of playing. So it's like, that's a lot of time per charge. Somebody be like, oh, well, you left it plugged in overnight, you killed it. It's like, oh, wow, 12 hours overnight out of 300. I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
But no, we're actually getting ready to make a little bit of changes to the actual guitar itself. We're just going to make it a little more, less telly and more unique. You're trying to make something our own, so I'm super excited. But this is built by Damon Matthews out of Cleveland. Damon Matthews guitars. And oh man, they're incredible. We've done a lot of stuff together, me and him. We did the guitar show in Pittsburgh. And that's actually when this came out. That was fun. We've done other guitar shows up in Cleveland and around, all over the tri-state really. But he's a great guy. And, a year ago or so, actually it's more than, probably almost 18 months, 2 years, I met him. And it's weird because without going this path, man, I'm not sure I would have ever found you. When I met him, it was at a guitar show, and his products, I would put him right up with anything. And I had never heard of him. And it made me realize that, sure, Fender makes a good guitar, but so does Damon Matthews. Now, who really cares more about your purchase? Fender? I'm sure Fender cares. They like their customers. But my money to Damon Matthews was, more impact. It was more shop local. And I dig that. So after, we talked and, came to terms on an idea, because originally it just started out as an endorsement. I was trying to help his brand and do it that way. And then eventually I got a signature guitar, which is awesome. But then I've done the same thing. This is my hollow amp. They're based out of Tampa, Florida. Incredible. I mean, it's just an incredible head. Your picks, man, right out of Kentucky. Just incredible pick. It's still in my hand. So this whole time we've been talking, this thing hasn't left my hand. I mean, it's just, so all I mean is, give the little guy a shot. Don't always just go to Guitar Center. Don't always just go to what you've heard or who you know, because sometimes you could, it's kind of like what Hamilton said. There may be 4 of us, but tomorrow there'll be more of us. And it's true. Gibson started one day somewhere. They were nobody. They were just, I'm a guitar company. It happened sometime, and I think it's important for the market. I mean, I have a business degree. I also have a master's in healthcare. So I like the market and the economics, and I pay attention to it, and look at the price of a Gibson guitar. That's what a monopoly will give you. I don't like it. There are plenty of great guitars for fractions of the cost that I would say are better for what you're paying. So, that could be a whole conversation in itself right there.
Yeah, no, and I would love to dive more into that. I want to stop you real quick. You just quoted Alexander Hamilton, yeah?
I did, yes.
Okay, this morning, it was either this coffee mug or my Alexander Hamilton coffee mug. Wait for it. And I thought, this guy probably has never even heard of, I second guessed
Wavelength, man, wavelength. We're right there.
But I have that coffee mug. I have 2, actually. 2 different coffee mugs from Alexander Hamilton.
And I don't want to get political. I think this could be just a very general statement, but like, what Alexander Hamilton was killed by Aaron Burr, who was the vice president of the United States. He literally took a gun and shot and killed him. So all I'm saying, I'm just going to put the idea out here. Let's just go back to that. If we have 2 candidates and we can't pick between them, just like have them duel and the winner gets it or something.
Yeah. Let's do that, yeah.
Whoever's the quickest to the gun.
Wow. Well, he's our president. Okay.
Yeah, well,
yeah. Yeah. So I want to hear how that guitar sounds. And I want to hear it on one of my picks just because you have it in your hand.
Oh man, plugged up or not plugged up? Because plugged up would require just a tad bit of work.
Unplugged, I guess.
Unplugged would totally be super easy to do. Of course, you really can't hear it though.
No.
You can't really. Can you hear it? Nah. That's all right.
Next
I didn't expect to really plug up this one. I just have an acoustic over here. I was like, well, in case he wants to hear something, so I'll play acoustic.
Yeah. Well, why don't? Because
Hey, check this guy out, man. We just got back from Lake Michigan, and look at this pick, dude. It was just laying on the beach. It's a rock, but dude, it is like, oh, I mean, it was just laying there, just, I mean, perfect, man. It was right in the beach, just blop looking at me. And I brought it home and played with it. And it's awesome. It's a weird shape. It's very thin at the top. I don't know if you can see. It's very thin at the top and very, very fat at the bottom.
it's got a
which
curve.
is a lot of fun. You can you can get it going.
Nice.
It was just laying there. I haven't shaped it or anything to it. You know, I'm not. Thank God there are people like you, and that's how this happened. Also, is I was inspired by Brian May. I was like, dude, he built his own guitar. I'm gonna do the same thing. You know, just build one, and that's the one.
Yeah.
But then I got learning, and I was like, wow, this is a science. This is a math. This is an art. You know.
It is.
And I was like, hey, this guy is into that. He likes the math, the science, and the art, just like you, man. Like, your picks are incredible. They speak for themselves. But, you know, again, I probably couldn't make it. The clip puncher or the pick puncher, you've seen it. You've had to have seen it.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't even make a pick with that thing. I was trying to punch them out of like milk jugs, too flimsy and terrible. I tried to make it out of a cardboard. The numbers that were like on the card were like a bad texture. I was like, dude, I can't make a pick to save my life. So
I believe it or not, somebody bought me one years and years and years ago when I was a kid, and I could never get it to work well, you know, and I didn't understand what I was doing. But then, like, I started making these picks. And this one kid is like, man, I want to do that. How can I do that? I was like, here you go. Merry Christmas. Wow. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, go for it. Go have fun. You know, like, it's whatever.
yeah.
Take this thing. I don't use it. So, yeah. You've never made a pick. That was going to be one of the questions I asked.
Yeah, I mean, I never have. I mean, I've tried it. I even took a woodworking course in high school and stuff, man. I just could never – I don't know. I just didn't have the finesse, man, because it was either too big and like thick to where it was like literally like playing with a chunk of wood. I could never get that fine tip to it, or you know, it was just bad. I just never could, man.
A lot of trial and error, man. Like, my first pick I ever made wasn't that good. I mean, it was playable, but it wasn't that good, and it's just figuring it out. I tell you what's weird though, and somebody asked me this a while back. They said, how are you able to make them so fast? And like with no skill. And I was like, the moment that I started making them.
And what were you making them out of material wise at that time?
Wood. So my father-in-law, amazing guy. I've talked about him several times. He has been teaching me how to do woodworking. And I don't know how to do that. I didn't take a class in school. That wasn't an option where I went. So I get to learn how to do woodworking now, and I love it. I've got a lathe, I've got some saws, I got all kinds of stuff. And I was at a shop, and I was like, ooh, you know what? Like, this is like a square piece, like maybe like that big. And I thought, I think I can like turn this into a guitar pick for my buddy. That was it. And even though the first pick I made wasn't the best, it still made sense to me. And people started saying, like, how do you do that? I go, I don't know. I just know exactly what it's supposed to look and feel like. And they're like, what does that mean? I go, I've been playing guitar since I was 9 years old. I know what should be here. And I know when it's done, you know? Like, and I take a sander to it because I don't have one. My father-in-law does, a belt sander. And I would just turn it and turn it and turn it. I go, that's it. And they go, how do you know? And I go, I just know. I play guitar, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started expanding my materials, and it's still, I mean, sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you still mess up. The other night I was making some, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I looked down, I was like, man, these are all crap. You know, I just have to redo it, but you know.
Yeah. Now, how long have you been making picks now, man? How long of a process has it been for you?
Not even a full year.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah. So December 2018, I made a guitar pick for my buddy for Christmas, and that was cool. And then in January, I was back at my father-in-law's shop this year. So like a year went by without doing anything. And there were some scraps of wood laying around, and I go, oh, I would like to try and make more of them. So I made 21 picks, right, out of wood. And some people found out locally that I was making, like, oh yeah, I'd like to, can I try one? How much? Within 5 days, I sold $100 worth, and I went, okay, like time out. Like I can really do something here. So I stopped promoting. I stopped talking to people. I reached out to some people online, but I secretly just mass produced guitar picks, and like it became easier, and I got it, and I'm like, okay, and I got a rhythm, I got things going, and my thing has always been be a hippie. That's been my branding for the last 6-7 years. And so it was a no-brainer. Just, oh, Hippie Picks. Here's the already existing logo, you know? So
nice.
Heart-shaped sunglasses, whatever. So
I love the heart-shaped glasses, man. I do the glasses that they got the name on the side and whatnot, and I sell them. But the heart shape ones are pretty cool, man. They're kind of, Bootsy does the star glasses, you know, and
blame Katy Perry.
Yeah, I've heard of a conversation of hit between Bootsy and Elton, and all they were talking about was who makes their glasses.
Well, I tell you what's nuts is quick, because we gotta cut this interview off at some point. We could talk all day, but
absolutely.
My brother went to a Katy Perry concert, and with part of the package came some heart-shaped sunglasses. So like everybody that went with him was like, these are stupid, I don't want them. And I was like, I'll take them. And so I had like 4 or 5 pairs of heart-shaped sunglasses. And I just started wearing them, and like being like a weird guy in Northern Kentucky with a mohawk, with long hair, purple hair at one point, like just a little different, you know, from Northern Kentucky. People were like, heart-shaped sunglasses there, boy. Yeah. And that just sort of morphed into my thing. And then I found more, and I started buying these. And so I posted up a picture a couple months ago, by the time this airs, of me meeting Willie Nelson.
I've seen that.
And Willie Nelson's wife said, I know the lady who designs and sells those sunglasses. And I was like, get out. That's awesome. Yeah. So super small world, super small.
And it is. Yeah. Oh yeah. And the more you get into it, the smaller it seems to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. It's amazing.
The world is.
That's why I'm a firm believer in, just watch what you say, because you never know who's listening and who knows who and how they feel about them. So it's just like, if you wouldn't want them to say anything, you might not want to say it.
Yeah. And you don't know who you can offend either.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, listen,
on both sides too. Like, you say something that's a little too far this way, oh man, you got the posse's coming after you. You say something a little too far this way, it's just the opposite. You got the other people coming. It's like, man, you can't say anything.
Yeah, I made a negative post on Facebook over 13 years ago, and I lost a good friend of mine because of it. And it was just a silly joke. It wasn't anything bad. And I made a vow then I'll never say anything negative ever on any form of social media. And that's why with the Be a Hippie thing, it's like, I love people. I love the world. I love you. I love everybody. And part of my platform is to say as much positivity as I can.
Yeah.
As many people as I can. And if I have a small platform, I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm not going to slam anybody. I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm not even going to get into anything. Even if I don't like it or have my own opinion of it, that's fine. That's not for me to slam or bash anybody on. And I think we need to encourage more of that.
Yeah, I think that's a lost art. I think it's like the opposite now. I think as soon as somebody gets a platform, they're like, just attacking, just bashing. And I think the world's got enough negativity just in reality. So if we can do anything, put positivity into it. I mean, and it cracks me up that people were such against each other when we're like on a little tiny rock spinning around a ball of fire in space, man. Like, this thing could go south at any moment. We're flying through space at like 18 miles a second or something around the sun. It's bonkers. And I don't know. Yeah, they want to fight about, your political views. Like, what?
They get offended if you don't eat a certain thing or look a certain thing.
Or if you do eat it. If you don't eat it, you're an animal. And if you do eat it, you're an animal. It's like, I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah. And I do firmly believe that we're here to love our neighbor. We're here to spread that love. And if anybody is in need, then it is our job to help them in any way. Like Steve Vai. Let's bring it back to Steve Vai. Steve Vai could have been a D-bag and be like, kid, go figure it out yourself. But instead he took the time to just say, hey, the reality is everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And it's true. And you asked the question earlier about if you've like met certain people, and I think there's nothing worse than meeting one of your heroes just to find out that they're terrible. Yeah. I have met those. I've met them that, they think they're curing cancer. I'm like, man, we're playing guitar. It's an art. Like, it's not that serious. Yeah. Like, no way, shape, or form should you think that you're like this, high figure. Don't talk to me, peasant. Like, dude, you play guitar. Like, I think now, I don't want to, say that, of course, because I love all the people that are out there touring, but the people that are really hit the hardest right now are the people who tour big time. The people that are doing stadium gigs, they're hit. And I think it's kind of a wake-up call to all of them that says, hey, look, you're just entertainment. Like, don't get me wrong. I have mass respect for those guys because I know how much work and hours and just the pure time that they put into their craft. But also, be cool to the people that are coming up. Be cool to those around you. Don't be that guy, Yeah.
And ultimately, it brings back to Damon, the guitar pick maker or the guitar maker.
Yep.
Right? Where it's like, who cares more about you, the person, Damon or Fender? Fender is going to continue to sell. They could give a crap if you go buy another guitar. Absolutely. They don't care. But your buddy is like, I like you enough to make sure you get what you want. And I want to help you get that.
Yeah. And again, I went down that whole, man, every encounter that I've hit, I've had guitars by small shops, amps by small shops, pedals, and everything. I would put right up there against those top brands. And I think they're better. And I'm not just saying that, because, he's got an endorsement. I found the endorsements because I liked their products, not because they were, just some Joe that I could, talk to. It wasn't that at all. It was that, I believed in their product, and I really do. I try to sell his stuff every day when I see a guitar player, because his stuff is, super affordable. It's great, and it's just, again, it makes a difference to him, and it makes a difference to those that really feel it. I think it is interesting that Fender had a record-breaking year of selling guitars this year. They've sold more guitars this year than ever before. And I was like, I think it's very interesting because to me, I feel like, the rise of iPads and electronic music, and I feel like that was taking over. But, a record-breaking year of selling guitars is kind of cool.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking Fender at all. I've never owned a Fender in my entire life, but I'm not knocking. Oh, wait, yeah, I do. Somebody gave me one. Never mind. I have one. I have a Telecaster. That was recent. Somebody bought and restored that. I don't know if you've seen it, that really old school Tele that I got.
I don't think I have, because I'm a Tele guy. I gotta show you this one really fast. This is Old Glory, man. And she's been torched. She's been sanded, purple mirror pick guard. I mean, they got the humbucker in the back. But it's a Fender, and great guitar. I've played more gigs with that guitar. I did a 6-month run with a country guy. His name is Jordan Wood, and he's awesome. He's doing his thing. We had a little different path as far as musically, and I played that thing probably 4 or 5 nights a week for 6 months, man, and nothing ever happened to me. I mean, strings never broke. Nothing ever needed replaced. Like, this is the guitar.
Yeah.
You have certain guitars that are string breakers, man. I do. They're just certain ones that pop. I can't figure out what's causing it, but there's something that.
Try different strings, try different stuff, and it's like, Always snaps. Sucks.
Yeah. So, Gary.
Well, listen, brother, we have to go.
Indeed.
This is great. This is very great. Where can people find you?
All over social media. I got the Instagram, I do the Twitter, I do the Facebook. It's all just Coty Hicks, Coty with a T, Hicks, like, you know, the rednecks, Hicks. It's a funny story, real fast before we go. My parents were going to name me Randy because all my family starts with R, but my name would have been Randy Hicks. That's like another term for horny redneck, which is rough, but that's it anyway. But anyway, yeah, all over, man. The Summit. That's
Thank
the
you,
band
Mom
I'm
and
with.
Dad.
Yeah, right. Thank God they changed it to Coty, which put me out of the R group, but I was thankful. And yeah, man, all over social media, all over the the place for the Summit. Check us out. And thank you, man. Thanks for letting me do this and having me. And I'm a firm believer in your product. Everybody buy Hippie Picks.
You don't have to if you don't want to. Just support local artists.
You support everything local.
Yeah.
Everything. It makes a difference.
And we make it with love. That's what's important. Coty, it was very great to talk with you today. I think we're going to have to make another one of these. We need to make another one. This is, if we could, it won't be the same stuff we talked about.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's too organic. We and you're on the same wavelength, man. We get it.
Yeah, very much, my friend. I'm looking forward to talking with you again.
Absolutely. Anytime, brother. Thank you.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you. That was Coty. Coty, he gets it. And I hope that this video, while we babbled here and there and we sidetracked here and there, he gets the understanding of the peaceful path and the understanding that you can do anything. He started watching a movie starring Jack Black. I don't know who else was in that movie because it's been forever since I've seen that movie. But that inspired him to now be able to have his own signature guitar, travel all over the world, meeting tons of famous people. And you can too. You can do anything you set your mind to. All you gotta do is try. Listen, I love you. John from Classic Barbershop in Williamstown, Kentucky loves you. Proud sponsor of Hippie Picks. Shop local. We as artists care about other artists. And we care about you. And we want to make you happy. We want you to succeed in life. And that's not just me. That's part of the positive path that I'm on. Christ, he has taught me that you love your neighbor. You take care of your neighbor. If you're a musician and you're semi-famous, full-blown famous, doesn't matter. I don't care. Take the time to meet your fans and to love them and show love to them. And if you're not, that's fine too. Take the time to hang out with your friends, talk to your buddies, share love to those people who need it most. That's what we're all here to do. Listen, I love you. And as always, be a